First of all, thank you guys so much for coming. It means a lot to us. We're excited to give you a great webinar today. We're excited to kind of do this. And Cooper and I are honored to be amongst two amazing panelists as well. So I think there's no better way than to start with some brief introductions. I'll let Cooper go first, and then Ann, and then Amy. So Cooper, take it away.
Yeah. So Braden and I are brothers, obviously. We started NerdApply about 2 years ago. I'm a computer science major at Dartmouth, and what I really like doing is bringing all the really cool technology and AI research labs and everything I'm seeing here, and putting it in a way that's actually usable in this profession. So it's been a lot of fun so far. I'm excited for Braden to show you it all today, but yeah, let's get going.
I'm Ann Rosbach. I've been in IEC for 19 or 20 years, and I have a broad practice working with all kinds of families and students. I'm very excited about this just because I have been in the business for 20 years, and to see the excitement of kind of how things are changing and how we can go forward. I do need to tell you, I'm not here as a representative of IECA. I'm simply a member of IECA. And I met Braden and Cooper maybe 2 years ago or even 3 years ago. And I was really curious about what they were doing and why they were doing it and how it might support or even influence the work that we do. So that's why I'm here today.
Thank you for being here, Ann.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great to follow that. I love that. I'm Amy Mushahwar. I am the chair of Lowenstein Sandler's Privacy and Data Security Department. I have been in privacy and security since its infancy about 20 years ago. And in that time, I have both been a chief information security officer, as well as having taken dozens of academic institutions, retailers, and a wide variety of industries through the zero to privacy process. So I'm excited to be here, excited to see a transformative technology.
Thank you for being here, Amy. We're excited. So I'll kind of round this out and say I'm Braden, obviously, yes, co-founder of NerdApply and Brothers of Cooper. We have become so enamored with running this business, especially in this industry. And thankful to you all for being here today. My background is actually, I just graduated from Michigan 2 months ago. I've been pre-med my entire life, which comes as a surprise to most. I've always wanted to be a doctor. I was recently accepted to the University of Miami Medical School, but I deferred it to run this business full time. And there's just never been a better decision in my life. Cooper and I are loving every second of this. So we're excited to show you what we kind of have here today. And more than that, tell you a little bit about the mission of what we're trying to create. And I find it interesting. I actually, one of my pre-med extracurriculars I did was working for the Bladder Cancer Database Project at Michigan Medicine, where we were going out and actually collecting bladder cancer patients' past profiles to make sure that we could help future bladder cancer patients make sure that they get surgeries that could be most helpful for their background and medical history. So as you kind of see our presentation today, you might see some more synergies in that than I could have ever even imagined when I was working that job originally. So with that said, we're going to get things kind of kicked off here. And I think the first and foremost way to start is that Cooper and I received a testimonial a couple weeks ago from an amazing college advisor named Jennifer, who said that using NerdApply has made her feel more excited to be in IEC. And first of all, that was just one of the most amazing things we could have ever felt as, young business owners and doing something impactful. But more than that, we actually started to realize that's how AI feels right now. In a lot of ways, that's how it should feel. It's such an amazing technology happening across industry. And that feeling of, wow, I can do so much with this, I'm excited to go do work, is exactly what you want to create. Now, what we don't want to overlook is it's daunting as well. Change is daunting. There's a lot happening, and it's hard to feel at the forefront constantly. So with that said, we want to make today not an advertisement for NerdApply. It's not built to be, come buy our software. What we really want to do is give you the information, provide the resources so that we can talk about how AI can be used in the industry for IECs specifically. And really, at the end of the day, what we want to do is make AI more human, which is a little bit to make college advising more human. So I know that's kind of paradox a little bit. How do you make college advising more human with a piece of technology, right? So that's what we want to tell you today. So with that said, I'm going to bring us out a little bit and go to an analogy in healthcare. We're going to start with a little story. So imagine that you are on a hiking trail and you happen to be walking along and maybe you break a femur, which I know is pretty rare, but maybe you break a femur, right? and you are rushing to the hospital. Maybe you have a high pain tolerance, so you're looking on Wiki Docs and you're looking on the internet and you're like, oh, what am I going to get for this? Well, obviously I'm going to get broken femur surgery. That's the clear, obvious answer. That's what everyone on Reddit and everyone on Wikipedia says that I'm going to get. I'm going to get broken femur surgery, right? And you walk in and you see your doctor, and it's an amazing doctor, by the way. You love them. They're wonderful. And they say, well, so tell me about your medical history. Tell me how you got the injury. Tell me what the pain is like, everything about this. And by the end of the time that you're with the doctor, they say, well, you're actually going to get a sling, right? And you sit there and you're like, what? Everything online says that I should be getting broken femur surgery. And yet my doctor's sitting here telling me that I should have a sling. And so against it's human nature, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to say, doctor, I know that you've spent your entire life in medicine, but why am I getting a sling? Why? Everyone online says I should be getting broken femur surgery. And what AI has done for healthcare in this industry is allowed that doctor not just to say, hey, I have a lot of experience, but also to say, hey, here are 60,000 patient profiles that I can show you that have your similar medical history, your background, from your demographic with your injury, and be able to tell you that although, yes, broken femur surgery is a very average general practice for this type of injury, with your history, you will find the best results with this response and this treatment plan, right? And so I know that's a long-winded analogy to say that what AI has done in healthcare, one, AI is being used in 95% of hospital systems. And two, in the hospital systems using AI, we're seeing 30% decrease in readmission rates. So across industry, AI is becoming so impactful. And what we want to sit here and do today is explain to you how that exact same premise can be applied to this industry in college advising with students and bring that kind of full circle. So that's what we're here today. And that's how we're going to make it more individual, more human. And doctors are no longer going to be given the general advice. They're going to be given the human-centered advice. And the same is true for advisors.
Yeah. I think, as you could tell by Braden's story, he did not go to medical school as he planned. Broken femur surgery into the sling. But what I really liked about that story is what it makes me think about my process of applying to college, which was only like 2 years ago. And I worked with an IEC, and building up to like the last few days, I had a set of essays that I was ready to send in, and then the weight of the decision, the weight of the process weighed on me. I was reading Reddit, I was watching TikTok videos of how best ways to apply to college, and I ended up rewriting all my essays right in the last few days and basically gave my IEC a heart attack. And I think, it wasn't that I didn't want to trust my IEC, but with the weight of this decision and the importance that it had on my life, I felt it was hard to put all my trust in the advice that was coming from my IEC. And that's something that is a problem with this process, or at least in my experience was, and that's something that you'll see through NerdApply. By being able to provide those patient stats, that doctor was able to make the relationship and the advice more secure. And that's something that we think we can create here with NerdApply.
Yeah.
I think building that trust with your students is so important, Cooper. And obviously you had it with your IEC, but I find particularly with more high achieving students who are questioning themselves all the time in this process, am I good enough? How can I be the best? That providing that information to them is really important. Otherwise, they are going to Reddit and they are going to TikTok and they're going every place else they can go to, and friends, which is fine, but in rewriting perhaps, or doubting themselves. And part of this process is to continue to build confidence in these young people, not to have them doubt themselves through a process. So I think that that's part of what this product can do, is to give an IEC some tools and information to say, just sit down with me for a moment and let's look at this clearly. And, ideally that works for them, so that, instead of readmission rate to a hospital, which I equate to being a transfer student, that doesn't happen, right? They're confident in their decision and in their materials.
Exactly. Could not have said better. And I think the real beauty of this is that NerdApply now has a little over 200 firms that are using NerdApply and 45,000 applications being shared. What this means that most students will have data that is very similar to them already on NerdApply, but really what we're trying to build is that infrastructure to allow the advising community to kind of take over and make sure that no student goes without a comparison, without that's something to look at, to be able to say, okay, that's me in an application form, right? That's a de-identified version of what my journey could look like. So with that said, that's why this is truly a mission more than a product, to be able to make sure that we can do that same thing in healthcare and college advising. Now, before we get into the software, I think it's important to understand, why was this not a thing before, right? Why could this not have been done? And the answer is very simple. First of all, number one, it was too hard to collect the data. Right? As college advisors, you're advising all year long. Trying to collect every piece of information enough for it to be useful is just going to take hours and hours and hours, and it's just not possible. Number two is that even if you had the data, how are we protecting students? How are we keeping student information private? And how, when we share it, are we making sure that it's not student information? Well, that can never be the job of the college advisor. You're busy advising students, so that was too difficult, right? And lastly, even if we could do both those two things, maybe you had been a part of a data sharing group in the past. Even if we could do everything, then you just end up with thousands and thousands of data points, and it's really hard to collect and make anything useful from that information, right? So those three problems are why before AI, this wasn't possible at scale. And now we can sit here with NerdApply, which I'm about to show you, has AI data ingestion, meaning that no matter how you currently have your data, you can upload it to NerdApply. It'll just automatically create a full profile database for you privately for your firm. Secondly, everything is de-identified and anonymized for you. You are under no obligation to share whatsoever, but if you do choose to share, you can know that you're doing it safely. And thirdly, under the database, whether it's for your firm or for the group, you can see unbelievable insights using AI filtering and AI data insights to make sure that you actually can glean some information. So with that said, I'm going to start sharing my screen here in a second. The last thing we want to say is just remember, every feature you see, everything is fully optional. You are in full control at all times. If you want to use this feature or that feature, all we want to do at the end of the day is make sure that you have an amazing platform to use with your students. So whatever it is that you want to use on our platform, you're fully able to do that. So we're excited to kind of kick this off.
Into it. I know some of you guys may not be able to stay the full time. Owen's going to put a link in the chat where we can further show you NerdApply or just book a call and talk more about what this is. So yeah, Braden, if you want to go ahead and share, you can.
Yep. So here we go. So here's nerdapply.com. We are sitting here at normal NerdApply. I'm logged in right now. I'm going to jump in here in a second just to orient you as to what NerdApply is if you're not familiar in any capacity. We are not a College Planner Pro or CouncilMore or CRM competitor. We actually consider ourselves somewhat platform agnostic. So no matter what platform you're using, those platforms are in what we refer to as the front end of your workflow. So helping a student get to the application. Let's write this activity, let's write this essay, and let's send the application off. Where NerdApply falls is in the back half of your workflow. So once your student has applied to college, where are we collecting outcomes? Where are we collecting the information, logging what happened to each student, organizing it, analyzing it, and then, yes, one feature is that you could potentially share information with a broader subset of IECs, right? So that is where we fall as a company, and that's what I'm about to show you. Please, any questions in the chat, I will pause at certain points to make sure that everyone is oriented correctly. But here's the NerdApply dashboard here. So this is home of NerdApply. We're sitting here and we're looking at this very top bar. This is our navigation bar. We have my students, my groups, and then the rest of this information. But most importantly, when you're under my students here at the top, you're looking at things that pertain to your firm and your firm only. This will be your firm name. And here we see your profiles, your de-identified profiles, your data insights, and your upload profiles area. What this is your private database. No one else has access to this. No advisors, no families, no students, nobody. This is for you and your firm only. Under profiles, you will see all the students that you've advised. Now, these are real student names. Currently, I'm a celebrity advisor. Okay, so Taylor Swift is a little bit of a tough one, but the rest of these kids were pretty great. With that said, for each student, we collect a full profile. So here's Cooper's profile here. Imagine that I am Cooper's college advisor. Here's our firm name, and here's Cooper. This is Cooper's real name. Remember, this is for my firm only. No one else can see this. Cooper's name, his college attended, his acceptances, wait lists, rejections, schools we're still waiting to hear back from. And we can see school-specific information as well. So majors, application round, areas of interest. For Cooper, we're continuing to also collect background information, GPA, SAT, first gen, legacy, where he's from, high school stats. Even more so, we also can collect qualitative information. So every activity that Cooper submitted to college. This truly is Cooper's businesses that he started in high school, dynamic purchasing solutions, okay? Weight of blockchain development. Cooper was quite the applicant, and this is a great part because we get to brag about Cooper's past experience, which is amazing. But awards,
Always my favorite part.
yeah, AP tests, senior coursework, and essays. So we get to see full essays to every school, right? I like to scroll down to this personal statement. This is a brief essay about how much Cooper loves his brother, which is amazing. But we also have this USC essay here, and you can see that Cooper started with a Warren Buffett quote. And if we're interested, we can scroll up to the top and see that that may not have worked out so well for Cooper here in this rejection page. But he did get to Dartmouth, and he goes to Dartmouth, so pretty good. He ended up all right. With that said, this is a lot of information. We've collected a full profile for Cooper. So if you're imagining in your head, instead of keeping things maybe in a messy Google Drive that looks like this, where it's like, oh, here's Michelle Obama's school list and Robert Downey Jr.'s and, you know, everything that in this capacity with essays and spreadsheets, we're now organizing everything into student profiles, right? And when we click back to profiles, we now see all of our students. We can filter for students and say, well, let me see my Dartmouth kids, right? Who, you know, had above a 1300 SAT score, and we can see who that was. So this gives us full command over our data set of all of our students. With that said, there's a lot of data in here. I'm about to tell you how we get the data in. Before we do, I want to show you the first use case of the data. So we have all this information that's been mapped and we have fields. The very first thing we can do for the firm before we talk about any de-identification, any sharing, anything of that nature, if you were to just upload a CPP export, automatically created for you is a data insights page for your firm. So these are your students, SAT scores and GPAs, your advantage over the national average, students admitted to top 3, top 5 choice schools, scholarships per student, acceptance map of all of your kids and where they got into school, all of your acceptances, a college admissions scatter plot of your students internally, right? So you can say, how are my students doing on a GPA versus SAT scale, similar to a Naviance, similar to things like that, except for it's for your firm internally. Keep in mind, this is not the group yet. We're only looking at your firm. We also have your acceptance rates by school. So we're looking at a school's acceptance rate, your advantage over the national average. All of these things are LinkedIn, Facebook, marketing materials, things to put on your website. And all of it is created simply with a CPP export or a Count to More export or any Excel sheet that you have, right? So I'm going to show you that in a minute, but it's important to understand everything we say about Common App PDFs that is coming in the qualitative data. That is an amazing piece of our platform. But if you wanted to just come on and simply get a great data insights page generated for your firm, you absolutely can do that. So with that said, we've seen profiles now. We can see the filtering and we see data insights, but how do we get this much information in here, right? We'll click to upload profiles here. And as this loads up, this area is where we're uploading information. So this is where we're uploading any data that we have previously. This is CPP exports, right? This is UC system PDFs, Common App system PDFs, any sort of decision spreadsheets that we have, Maya Learning, Count to More, C Alpha, whatever it might be, anything can go in here. And the beauty of NerdApply is that it's built to meet you where you're at with your data. So whatever you currently have, you throw it right in here. And then we have a lot of our users end up deciding to collect more in future years, but dating back everything that you've had in the past, you just take what you have, right? And so this will organize automatically all of your PDFs and everything into folders per student, so that every student you now have the folder of all the information you have for them. It's finally in a private and secure place where everything is stored. Right. So this is going to be taking the spreadsheet information, the PDF information, matching names and building full profiles for you. So you never have to do another thing. Now, I want to take a pause here. Privacy and security is extremely important in this period, in this piece, right? Of course, if you're using CPP data and data that you've had in every other software, it's pretty similar to anything else you've done. But we definitely have an ability here to also supplement with Common App PDFs and UC system PDFs, which have more information. So I'm going to let Amy take it away here and talk a little bit about consent from families and getting this information into NerdApply. I think you're muted, Amy.
I said, oh, thank you. Absolutely. You know, what we're going to be talking about really is a lot of things that NerdApply might be new, but privacy and data security is not. Many of you are already delivering consent forms regarding FERPA. And when you have educational records, consent is key. NerdApply, like any other vendor that you use, you want to make sure that you disclose it to your students and your families. So as a starting point, we're going to provide you with a standalone NerdApply form or the language to insert in your pre-existing language. So your families can do appropriate consents as they are likely doing right now just to enter into college counseling. You've got that consent up front and disclose that you're using NerdApply along with all of the other suites of vendors that you are using and you're inputting student educational records into. It's extremely important on the platform as well is the NerdApply platform is opt-in. If you don't want to share de-identified profiles with other users, you don't have to. And we have Owen's hand raised. Oh, okay, that might be might be a technical snafu. On your particular consent form under FERPA, whether or not you use ours or your custom one, you will specify the records that you're disclosing, Common Apps, your spreadsheet PDFs, your notes, state the purpose of the disclosure, and identify the party or class of parties to whom the disclosure may be made. In the case of NerdApply, we will explain in just a bit de-identification once you're able to see those profiles. You are not going to be sharing personally identifiable information or information that would make the student either identified directly as, for example, Amy Mushahwar, or identifiable by knowing that I'm an attorney in the DC DMV area and a number of identifiable profiles. So consent is very key. The structure of the data is key, and how you structure your consent, just like you should be constructing your consent for your practice overall. We want to slip into your practices and not have you augment our practices to suit us.
Absolutely. And so I think as Owen raised his hand, it's important to know, absolutely, you do not have to share, but also if at any moment you needed to delete a student from our platform, at any moment you can click this trash can here. That does not just delete from your view, it deletes off of our servers entirely, meaning that you are in full control of your data at all times, which we will talk about more down the line here. But with that said, this is where we upload profiles. I meant to do this while we were on the phone, while Amy was talking, but I'll show you a live upload here, and this is where you simply grab Common App PDFs that you have downloaded and consent for, and you click open, and we will just click boom, confirm upload. We also can upload decision spreadsheets that look something like this, right? So Cooper Weissman, Braden Weissman, we have all of these colleges. This is exactly what an export from CPP looks like. So it'll look just like this, and all of this will be automatically uploaded for you. Any spreadsheet that you have, any counts more, any CPP, anything that it might be, and all can be entered right here to upload applications.
Go back to the spreadsheet for a second. I want to point something out. So something we've done, which is took a lot of time, is pretty cool in my opinion, is it automatically corrects the spreadsheet data or any data you upload into a standardized format. So you see here, we have like ASU and USC and other abbreviations and everything on this spreadsheet, but our system is smart enough to correct that to the full names of the schools. In addition to, if you upload a Common App PDF with the name Coop Weissman and the spreadsheet with Cooper Weissman, it will still be able to merge that student data together using AI. So that's something that wasn't possible before. And like Braden was saying earlier, is something that now we're able to actually create that vision where you upload all your data and it simply organizes it for you.
Exactly. So now the big question is, what do we do? Now we have all this data uploaded. So what do we do with this, right? So of course you have your profiles built. You have full PDFs with full profiles with outcomes and qualitative data. You can filter, you can get amazing data insights. But at NerdApply, we believe in the individual. We believe in the qualitative data. So we know that advisors love to tell stories more than anything else, and that it's unbelievable. And I actually got that line from Owen. But what I will say is that when we want to tell the story to an applicant who comes to us and says, hey, I have a 1400 SAT and a 3.6 GPA, and I want to go to Dartmouth more than anything else, right? And we would love to tell the story of Cooper Weissman because he's such a great application, but we can't. That's all of Cooper's private information. So even though we have it, we're not going to share it. What NerdApply has done is create your de-identified profile. So every time you upload a profile in this upload profiles area, automatically it will be created with the de-identified pair. This de-identified pair is fully anonymous. It has where Cooper attended college, but it's taken off the name of his high school. It's taken off his city, right? We still know it was a public high school, right? But the beauty of NerdApply is that we have taken off all personally identifiable information from the activity section and from the essays. So before we were looking at Cooper's profile that said dynamic purchasing solutions. Now it says school supply business, okay? Before it said WADEV blockchain development. Now it no longer says any high school names, club names, student names, anything that could be personally identifiable so that we're making sure we're protecting the student and the advisor. I'm also going to show you here at the bottom, we looked at that Warren Buffett essay at the beginning, right? Now, this is what the essay looks like here. We're no longer seeing Cooper's exact writing, but we're getting a sense for what Cooper was writing about so that as an advisor, we can say, hey, you do have an amazing SAT, you do have an amazing GPA, but let's look at the full story that a student is crafting so that we can see how their activities are looking, how their essays are looking. And maybe we decide to keep another couple schools on the list, right, because of this. Or maybe that a student has, had an unfortunate outcome with their first ED, like Cooper and I both did, and you could say, hey, look at these kids, look at these past profiles. This ED didn't go your way, but this process is far from over, right? So being able to share these case studies is exactly what we want to do. And Amy, I'll have you jump in here one more time just with de-identification of profiles.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're looking at de-identification, unfortunately under FERPA, there's no exact standard of you immediately take off these identifiers and you're de-identified. So NerdApply is using other standards like under HIPAA that does have a de-identification standard to remove directly identifiable information like someone's name, but also to remove items where a student could become easily identifiable. You can never fully de-identify someone, but we can take steps to make it highly unlikely. So things that could make someone identifiable, or as Braden was talking about, individual high school names, geographic subdivisions smaller than a state, all elements of dates for dates that are directly related to an individual, including birth dates, admissions dates, discharge dates, ages that are quite old, over age 89, employer names, telephone numbers, email addresses, and some URLs. This is, of course, not an exhaustive list, but thought has been done here to significantly reduce the likelihood of one of your students becoming re-identifiable through the process. And with the advent of AI, it makes it more likely that individually identifiable criteria can be removed at scale.
Absolutely. Perfect. So that's exactly what we're doing here. I think some very important things to know. We are about to go to my groups and show you how you share a profile like this with colleagues. But before we do so, right now we're still under this My Students area. All of this is My Students. If you were to upload just a CPP export, just a spreadsheet, you would have no activity sections, no essays whatsoever, and there would be no qualitative data whatsoever, which is completely fine, absolutely within something that we have firms do, we have users do, and there's no need to ever put a Common App PDF on the platform if you don't want to. Now, of course, it does provide a lot of that extra information, but you can fully decide what you'd like to list. You can also decide which students have given the consent that you'd like them to give, and you can decide which ones are shared or which ones you list full information for, right? So everything is fully within your control. The idea here is that even if you never share, let's say that you work with 20 students per year, you upload those 20 students here, this is never shared with a single person ever. And instead, now that we're uploading everything, we now can go back and we can look at all the profiles of our students internally, see data insights for the firm, and use our own de-identified profiles just within the firm to make sure that you can at least talk about your past experiences. Now, getting to the fun part, what happens when a student comes and says, hey, I really want to see a Yale computer science student, or I really want to see something like that, and we haven't had a Yale computer science student in a while, right? Under the My Groups tab here at the top of the website, you can see all of the places that you can share data. Okay, we have a sharing group for each state, as well as a national and international NerdApply group. The NerdApply group has 45,000 applications in it. And when we click into the NerdApply group, I'll actually show you when you click join on any of the groups, that is what causes your profiles to send. So I've already clicked join on the NerdApply group and I've entered the code. My profiles will not send to any other groups until I click join. So I will click join. My de-identified profiles only the de-identified versions, only the aggregate data will send, and it'll send to the group. In return, I see the de-identified profiles of the rest of the community. And of course, I will never be able to know which student is which or which advisor advised a student. All is kept anonymous. With that said, now that we're in the NerdApply group with so many applications, it ends up being an endless scroll of anonymous applications. So with 45,000 applications in here and thousands of students, it's too hard to just click on one, right? So let's take what I said, for example. We can filter by major and we could say, well, let's look at some computer science, some computer science students. And now we're looking at all kinds of computer science kids from across the nation. So let's instead filter again by Yale. So now we're looking at Yale computer science acceptances. Looks like we have 5, which is pretty great. And we can look at one and we can say, hey, so you're interested in Yale computer science. Here's what this kid did. It looks like they were also accepted to Penn and to USC. And we can look at a full application with a pretty unbelievable SAT score. By the way, I've never seen this application before. Cooper said this would be a good one to look at, but this is a fully real student that I have not seen. So with that said, we're looking at STEM club founder and president, independent researcher, robotics programming. This tells me a lot. The awards, Congressional App Challenge placement, right? Seal of Biliteracy and a National Merit Scholar. AP tests like crazy, senior coursework, and every essay to every school. So we can look at these essays, and we could see what this kid, historical figure, everything that this student's writing about, founding a club, and we can really see the full story of this applicant. And I'm sure we can all agree when looking at this application, okay, this kid's a Yale computer science kid. That makes sense. Right? It really does. He's got an unbelievable SAT, but beyond that, he's got unbelievable activities and awards. And so this is what we can share with the student and say, hey, if you're interested in Yale, here's what you can look at. But also keep in mind, this student was rejected from Carnegie Mellon and from University of Illinois, and that's really important as well. So being able to tell these full case studies of students that aren't our own, that are fully protected in private, is where we get back to that doctor analogy and we say, hey, so you're from here, you're from this state, you're interested in these things, you have this background. Let's look at case studies like you so we can put our best foot forward and build the best school list that we possibly can, and do it because look at these other 10 applications, right? The same way the doctor can say, look at these other thousands of patient profiles, right? So that is what the group is allowing you to do. And as we take out these filters here, the other thing beyond just looking at the profiles is we have group insights. So we can now look at the insights from the entire group and we can see the entire group and we can look at the acceptance map loading in here. Pretty unbelievable, right? And we can look at acceptances. It looks like Boulder has the most applicants with 706. The admissions scatter plot, let's filter this by Boulder for a second. And let's see what we got here. So now we can see some rejections and acceptances at Boulder across the entire group instead of just for our firm internally. We also see acceptance rates by school and the group's advantage over the national average. So as you can see, having a college advisor does just in and of itself have an advantage, right? And that's what we're showing here on this right side. But to be able to see the group data and look at, well, let's look at just Ivy League schools, right? So now we're using the AI filter up top to filter by Ivy League schools on the left side. And as this loads, we're going to see that there's 105 students here with a 4.65 boost when using a college advisor, with 305,000 in average scholarship. And we can see there's 28 Cornell applications, right? And we can look at all kinds of scatter plot stuff. And this is what you show a family. Pretty different scatter plot than we were looking at with Boulder, right? So this is the way to use the group and use it in a way that really makes it very powerful for a family. So with that all said and done, the most important things here. Go ahead, Ann.
Brandon, I was just going to say, in those scatter plots, we all look at those from Naviance and SCORE with our students, but seeing these on either a regional level or a national level become crystal clear. At Boulder, you could see there was a very clear line and quadrant where there weren't acceptances. And I think it helps us and it helps students to see sometimes this bigger picture. You know, it's not just your high school or your county. Colleges are looking much broader than that, particularly at big state universities across the board. I think it should also give them assurances when you see that kids are rejected, just like they will be rejected from other places, and the conversations that you should have around that as an IEC before those rejections come in, right, as preparation. And all of this information can really quick start some very meaningful conversations with kids in the process.
Yeah, I remember getting rejected from Tulane before getting into any other schools. And Tulane's a great school, but it made me think, wow, I'm not going to get in anywhere.
Anywhere, right.
And yeah, it would have been pretty amazing to be able to see this type of thing.
Yeah.
And also a big part of the reason that we built that scatter plot is I used to stare at that naviance scatter plot, be like, why is that dot red and that one's green, but the red dot had a higher SAT score?
Mhm.
And so something we added to our scatter plot is you can actually take any dot, go click on the dot, and then it will take you to the profile of the student so that you could see the full story the same way Braden was talking about. So it's pretty cool to see that come full circle for me.
So to wrap things up here, and we'll start kind of a Q&A. People really like when I do a full kind of run through. So this is what we're looking at here. When you come on NerdApply, your only job is uploading profiles. You simply put in data however you have it. You will instantaneously have a full profile database built for you internally. With this will have real student names. You are the only person that can see that. Automatically, you can filter and then get data insights for your firm internally. So these are your marketing materials, anything that you use for the firm. We also have your de-identified profiles created for you. You never have to share them. You can work with just your de-identified profiles. Sometimes we see that with really big firms. With that said, these de-identified profiles are shareable. If you'd like to be in part of a bigger group, you can see 45,000 other applications from IECs in fully protected form, and that is NerdApply. So that is the whole beauty of the software. With that said, the last thing to remember, if you ever click leave from a group, this button, all of your profiles leave with you. So you are not sharing and then beholden to that share forever. Only during the time that you do, it is shared there. If you click leave, your profiles will come out with you and you can delete off the platform at any time. So we are not taking your data, taking it, selling it, doing anything with it. We are providing infrastructure for you to be able to securely and privately share this information. And when you do so, we can create a pretty unbelievable impact in the community. And that's where we are. With that said, I think Q&A is the right thing to go towards.
I think probably share pricing real quickly and then we'll. Yeah.
Absolutely. So quickly on pricing, we charge per number of advisors in your firm. So if you have less than 10 students per year, but you have a one advisor firm, we start at $15 per month. If you have a pro plan, if you have more than 10 students per year, we start at $42 per month. And then the NerdApply group, so this big group here, this costs an extra $200 per year to be a part of. Now, the big offer that we have for everyone on the webinar today is that if you do book a call while this webinar is ongoing, so book any sort of demo with us, we will give you that NerdApply group for free. So you will get access to the whole database sharing group for free. And that's our big shameless plug to please book a call. Owen will put a link in the chat. And if you book a demo with us, you get that NerdApply group for free. And we can talk about your firm specifically. So once again, between 15 and 42 bucks per month. And that ends up being between $180 and $500 a year. So that is our pricing. I'm happy to answer questions about that as well, but let's get to Q&A. Okay.
Funny, right before you said that, Jennifer was saying in the chat, what if I purchase today? So there you go.
Yeah, so book a call with us and we'll give you all of that for free. So you'll get the premium group for free. And that's the big offer. No, with that said, Owen, help us out with Q&A if you don't mind.
Yeah, we have a couple questions that are left in the chat for y'all if you guys can see it. Audrey says, does the data sharing permission form explain the family/students that I am retaining/sharing their info on a third-party app forever?
If it's helpful for me to answer this, you most certainly don't want to explain that a third-party app is retaining their data forever. That's why there is the option for you to delete, so you can abide by your own data retention practices. So the beauty of the platform is it puts power in your hands.
The next question is from Jordan Zimmerman. As a college counselor, once I have all my students and their information uploaded, how does this help me place those students? How does this help me do my job better?
Great question, Jordan. And Evelyn, it looks like maybe you have a follow-up to that. That's what I'm trying to brag about. My outcomes beating the national average is meaningless. Yeah, so this looks like it was probably coming from earlier in the presentation before we're seeing the groups. But the way that this is we're looking at, hey, here's a patient, same way, similar to the doctor example, and we're saying here are profiles to help you understand, what does the profile look like. But the way that advisors are using this is we're taking an advisor. We're taking a student, we're inputting their statistics, the major they're interested in, what type of high school they're from, and we're looking at similar profiles so we can help build school lists, help build trust with our advisors and with our students, and really give them the information to pull on as they're building these profiles. And any follow-up to that as well?
I'm looking at kind of, you're doing this here, and I had a question thinking about my more international students. Is this being done in other parts of the world for international students as well? Do you know?
Do we have international?
I know that's an out there question, but I was just looking through the questions myself here.
Yes.
No, do you know of anybody else doing this outside of the US, just working with international students?
I'm not sure if other platforms are doing this. I do know that there's about 20 advisors from all over the world using NerdApply currently. So we do have an international section on here. So we have
Okay, great.
Shanghai presence, there's a UK presence, so you can actually filter by international.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I'm sorry, was there something else you wanted me to comment on?
No, I think that's pretty good.
And then the next one was Sharon Bowen. If NerdApply was hacked, knock on wood, heaven forbid, could the personal info in the Common App PDFs be at risk, like parents, jobs, titles, addresses, etc.? Like, is that living somewhere in NerdApply servers?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And Sharon, I say this having been an attorney who's responded to thousands of incidents on behalf of clients. Any platform that you use can be hacked. However, in this instance, NerdApply is over a secure suite of SaaS applications, MongoDB, Redis, Heroku, and the Google Cloud Platform, all of which are using security audit standards like ISO 27001, as well as SOC 2. In this day and age, any platform is subject to attack. The best you can do is work with reputable providers who are working with secure data security standards, and you are at least doing your due diligence with your students' data.
Yeah. Also, we make sure to not grab any additional information from the resources that you upload that aren't relevant to these profiles. So it's not like we're taking all the student addresses or like last four of the SSN or none of that is put into these servers. We only grab what is relevant here. So yeah, but that's definitely something we work every day to try and make sure doesn't happen. So.
And another question from Sharon Bowen. When consultants share the results with other consultants via spreadsheets so we can all get a sense of which types of students were admitted where, is that more or less legal and secure than NerdApply?
Oh, spreadsheet sharing is always dangerous depending on what's in the spreadsheet. As Cooper was just talking about a moment ago, depends on what you put in the spreadsheet. Social security numbers, addresses. One of the things that I always tell, especially my minors and educational providers, I don't just care about data security, I care about data safety. When you're sharing a spreadsheet with a student's address in it, you are sharing the location to their home. So, one of the things that we want you to do is to share over secure platforms like this that do take out data like last four and someone's personal location, because not only is that a data security issue, it's a safety issue. So definitely more secure as you look at the anonymous profiles, especially. And also more secure because most often you're sharing spreadsheets via email in an insecure form, not encrypted. So very, very important, for us, the platform here is using encryption in transit. It is an HTTPS connection. Usually your spreadsheets and your emails are not. So if I can say this as a security lawyer, please don't share via spreadsheets. Please don't share home addresses via spreadsheets. As a parent of a teenager who is entering her college application years, please don't share my child's information over spreadsheets. But this platform is well thought out to at least think through the de-identification profile so that sharing can occur without sharing someone's address, without sharing social security numbers, without sharing identifiable criteria.
Beautiful. Monica asked, do we give students access to the de-identified profiles? Do they get their own account, or do we show them our NerdApply account to provide the data?
Yeah, great question, Monica. So right now, what you're doing is maybe, do I have some echo? Is everyone, can you hear me all right?
You're
You're
good.
good now.
Right now, what we're doing is predominantly share screen and showing. Eventually, we are looking into ways to do this securely to be able to share with students and families. But we want to make sure that as we export data or send data, that can all be perfectly secure in the same way that Amy was talking about. So without sharing over email and things like that, right now the best way is to show families what you have and work through with them. Right. So that is what we're doing. But make sure as you're sharing screens, you're sharing the screens that are fully anonymous. And that's why these don't say Cooper Weissman's anonymous profile, right? These screens are fully de-identified all the way down. What's next, Owen?
The
And
next,
please feel free to answer with follow-up questions. We're happy to keep going on any of these.
of course. From Gina, is there an option to show profiles by high school?
Not by high school name, but by type of high school. So you could filter by public or private or charter school or religious school. And then of course we can also filter by region, right? But no, in order to protect the students' privacy, we're not saying specifically from Paradise Valley High School, where our high school.
And then that is the last question for right now. The other questions that we got were, how do we export from CPP? Where is it coming from, and all that? Those were questions that were brought up earlier.
Perfect. Does everyone have the link to book? Let's make sure. Owen, is there a public chat for that to be seen?
I was looking for a chat and I couldn't find one anywhere.
So we'll make sure to send a link to book in an email after. Of course, also, if you type nerdapply.com, there is a book a call button. This goes directly to the Calendly link to book a call. If you book that call, since we don't have a chat, we'll extend it to the end of tomorrow. But with that said, that's how you'll book a call, and you'll be able to sign up with NerdApply, or at least just hear what it looks like for your firm. Really no chat, huh? Let's see if we can figure something out.
Oh, Suzanne just typed in saying, what is the path of the data uploads? What happens with the full applications that students identifiable information? Do we have assurances that the addresses, social security numbers, etc., are untouched by AI? Then what happens with the applications that's uploaded once the data is scrubbed?
Yeah, so the pathway, and I'm gonna have to read that question a couple times over so I make sure to answer it all. The path of data uploads is straight here in the upload profile. This is connected through an incognito developer API key to OpenAI. So we are paying to make sure that none of that data is ever included in a broader data set. And so you have assurances that all of that is never identifiable. As far as the assurances with SSN and last four, absolutely, of course, the only things that are ever included in our collection are the things that you see on the profile here, right? With that said, that's what we're looking at. And then what happens with the applications once the data is scrubbed, you have full control at that point. If you want to take the data off, if you want to take the PDFs off, this is it. They sit here for you and you only to see. If you do want to take them off, you absolutely can.
Yeah. And as the lawyer, I do also want to make sure that the word untouched, you'll never have on any platform data that is untouched. Data is always going to be processed, but being able to remove underlying applications, ultimately having data stored in de-identifiable form or an identifiable form just for you are powerful controls as you're looking at data privacy. And also you being in control of your own data retention standards. You can delete when you want to delete. Let's say also you might receive a privacy request from a student saying, delete my profile, do not share my data. The power is in your hands as to when you want to delete and when you want to share.
There we go.
You know, I think that we are always telling our students how important their own privacy is around everything that they do. I mean, when we explain FERPA to them and everything else. And I think the underlying security and privacy in this product has been really well explained today. And I think the end of the question speaks to that. You've been very clear, Amy, on what happens, and so have you, Braden and Cooper, with the information, where it goes, how it gets there, and then what happens to it and our control over it. You know, sometimes I ask a student, oh, you know, your essay's so terrific. Do you mind if I share that or put that in my folder for sample essays? I still have to get permission in writing to do that. I mean, I think one of the things that's most important to us is how we serve our clients and our families. So the security and privacy here, I think, underscores what we do as IECs anyway. I mean, I teach it at UC Irving, or I did, and I can tell you that that portion was a big portion of you know, the first couple of weeks of that course, is explaining that to parents and to students, especially in an era where they're sharing pretty openly, right? And what can happen with that. So.
Well said. And I love, as a lawyer, still hearing people thinking about the power of writing. So, you know, even though we're talking about statistical data, qualitative and excellent writing, I think makes one of the best applications.
Yeah.
So what we'll be doing here, Owen, see if you can respond to a question and put the link straight in this Q&A here. I think everyone can see the Q&A, so that way we can at least have that book a call link.
Perfect. I was trying to ask a question myself to do it, but
yeah, well, at least
the last question is, Amy mentioned language from NerdApply to include our documents to secure consent from our families. Where would we find the language?
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone will be sent, every current client and anybody who, whether you're NerdApply user or not, we will be sending every single current client a further welcome package. So we already have that language, but we're now going to be sending everybody a welcome package with the FERPA release language to include in your contracts. But also, very important point, we are not keeping it for only NerdApply users. If you are not a NerdApply user, but you're just interested in having that language for other softwares or whatever it is, please come to us. We are happy to be a resource for the community. You do not have to use our software to get access to that information. And then also, really importantly, is that as we have more and more sessions with our legal team and having things, please ask us questions, whether you're a NerdApply user or not. We are happy to be a resource to make sure that there's someone to talk to about data privacy and security and AI in this evolving industry. So yeah, please. The regional groups, Suzanne, I'm seeing that question. You can join every regional group by state. So you can join by any state and you can see all students from those states. So those are the regional groups. And then if you want to see the national data, it's the national group. So with that said, I think we're winding down here. We're happy to stay a couple minutes, but just remember, please book a call with us so we can talk about your firm specifically. The book a call link's on our website. You'll also be getting it all in an email. And as we book a call, we'll get access to any webinar bookings to get the NerdApply group for free. So that's the big offer here. So any other questions as we're winding down?
Not that I see.
Right, you're right on time.
We did it perfect. We really appreciate you all for coming. Thank you, truly. It means a lot to us for being here. We appreciate how many of you stayed to an end. It looks like we still have 50 participants. And we really appreciate you. So we're excited to talk to more of you more and more soon. It looks like a lot of you have booked calls already, so we're really excited, and we will talk to you more soon. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Amy, for being here with us. We truly appreciate you guys. And this has been really amazing. So thank you guys. Thank you guys very much.